The paper reports that two of the male prostitutes were given a late-night tour of the White House last year.
Entitled. You want answers.
I want the truth.
You can't handle the truth.
Greetings, everyone. Welcome to the Nick Bryant podcast. Today, my guest is Alisha Owen. Alisha, how you doing today?
I'm doing great, Nick. How are you?
I'm good. Alisha was the first guest on my first podcast about a year ago. And that podcast was coming to you from the Overlook Hotel. I thought the Overlook Hotel would be like a perfect metaphor for Franklin. Very pristine and beautiful on the outside, but evil on the inside. But people kept on asking me, Nick, what are you doing in a hallway? And I kind of figured out, I think I might be the only one that gets the metaphor. So I decided to go with New York City. Although if I look out my window, I see a brick wall. So I figure, New York's expensive and noisy and dirty, and I might as well look like I have a cool apartment view. So now instead of the Overlook Hotel, you've got the New York Nightline. And I met Alisha in 2003. I contacted her lawyer. Over the years, I've learned to, if you want to contact someone, contact their lawyer. And I contacted Ed Fogarty, who had been Alisha's lawyer. And we met briefly, I think for about, it was in 2003, we met briefly for, I think about a half an hour or so. And you were kind of guarded. Tell us a little bit about your first meeting with Nick Bryant.
I generally have a policy that I don't talk to the media or the press. Pretty much everything that I had to say, I had already said and said it on the record. And it was all there for anybody to, if they wanted to investigate, it was in black and white. And Nick, Ed had said that he had talked to you and that you were, out of all of the people that he had met, he thought you were a pretty good guy. And he asked, he advised that I should just meet with you, even if it was off the record. And I know that through various other means, and I knew that you had talked to people that I knew, and they had all said the exact same thing. So I thought, okay. Ed said, what can it hurt? I said, okay, I'll meet with the guy. And I remember that distinctly because it was in Ed's office, and Ed was sitting at his desk, and you were to my right, and you started to talk to me about, and you knew a few things, and
I was just cutting my teeth on the story at that point.
Yeah, so. And I kind of really, it seemed to me that you knew enough to know that something was there, but you did not know everything. And I actually, I felt kind of bad for you because I thought this guy, really is, because in your podcast, you have that one thing where you can't handle the truth.
Yes.
And I thought, wow, if this guy really knew everything, because it really is, there's like over 30,000 pages of grand jury testimony, let alone my trial. which is one of the longest criminal trials in the history of the state of Nebraska.
If not the longest.
Yeah, there's just so much documentation. And I just thought, guy, you have no idea what you're even asking for, and so I kind of felt sorry for you, and it still was a no. But I thought, I need to think about this. This isn't something, and I think I remember telling you, I don't think you know what you're asking for. And I remember thinking about it, and I talked with my family and some friends, and they were like, hey, he's been pursuing this. And by that time, even in 2003, I think you had already been to Omaha and already had some contact.
Yeah, I've been to Omaha.
Yeah, and it was like, okay, we'll give it a shot. And
it only took I should say it took 4 years to give her. I kept on coming back to Nebraska, and people were amazed. He's still alive,
Yeah, he's still coming. And I thought,
he hasn't
okay,
been scared off. And I figured, I knew that you were crucial for the book, The Franklin Scandal. I knew that your trial was very crucial because it had to sanctify those grand juries that said that no children have been molested. And so you were a critical piece, and I think you understand this. Going to Nebraska over and over and getting people to talk, it's like pulling teeth. It was like I was doing expose on the KGB during Stalinist Russia. I mean,
yeah,
people were very frightened to talk to me. A lot of people just didn't talk to me. And I mean, some people that had pretty high powered jobs in law enforcement or in the Nebraska political arena just refused to talk to me.
well, and the crazy thing is, it was like 10 years after my trial, 10 years after the grand jury, and still it was, I believe me, I understood what the wall that you were facing. And really for me, it was, you want to talk about venturing off into, you don't know what you don't know until you know what you don't know. And I felt kind of bad for you.
This big galoot from New York, I mean, he's obviously pretty obtuse. He has no idea of what he's getting into.
But then I thought, okay, well, let's see where this goes. Because, what are they going to do? Throw me in jail again? I mean, why not? People need to know. And by that time, there was just so much evidence with like my trial and the misconduct, prosecutorial misconduct, judicial misconduct, law enforcement misconduct. There was just so much evidence that I thought, okay, let's put it out there. Because, I mean, it's not like you can, during my trial and things like that, it was like, hey, most abusers don't give receipts. But when it came to my trial and the investigation, there were receipts. I mean, there were things that were in open court that you could prove. I mean, it was right there in black and white. And I thought, okay, we'll see where this goes. And so we decided, okay. And it took me quite a while to decide to do that. I mean, I know that you were waiting in the wings patiently.
No, I never asked. I the first time I was in Nebraska, I asked, and then I talked to your mom, and your mom didn't seem very willing to pass a message on to you. So, and then at Ed's, and then I thought to myself, well, I'm just going to keep coming back here, and if she wants to talk to me, she wants to talk to me. If she doesn't, she doesn't. That was kind of my attitude on it. And And then we met at a bar in Omaha I believe it's near your house.
Yeah, it wasn't far.
Yeah. And
Neighborhood little place.
and what's interesting is we have the same, a lot of the music that we enjoy similar types of music. Like you're very fond of Pink Floyd, and
Yeah.
I'm really fond of Pink Floyd on a sunny day. If I listen to Pink Floyd on an overcast day, I get a little suicidal. But as long as it's a sunny day, I can listen to Pink Floyd.
Pink Floyd and Peter Gabriel, old Genesis.
Oh yeah, The Lamb Lies Down on Broadway, I think, is just an amazing album. It's kind of unfortunate that Genesis got its name after Peter Gabriel split, but he wrote some great songs. Salisbury Hill, I believe that's one of your favorite songs.
That's one of my theme songs. I love that song.
Could you tell us why that song is near and dear to your heart?
You really have to listen to the words of that song, but that song actually came out right about the time that I was trying to get out of prison. And if you listen to the words of that song, there's a couple of lines where liberty, she pirouette. I mean, it talks about liberty and that smile on, that smile on my face, what it meant. And there's just some lines in there, and walk out of the machinery. And when I finally, after years, got the bond, and the bond was $500,000 cash, not 10%. It was $500,000 cash, and no one believed that I would get out. And even when we posted the bond and I was walking on air, we posted the bond, but it took a little while for me to become released. And when the bond got posted, there was nothing in the newspaper, nothing on TV, nothing. And I'm like, I was like, I'm going home. And that created kind of a stir at the prison. And one of the guards even gave me a direct order telling me, you're not going home. We don't have any paperwork. You're here, you're stuck. You're going to do 15 years here. That's the end of the story. Quit telling people you're going home. And I was like, but I'm going home. And they were like, no, this is a direct order. Well, in the prison system, it's very much like the military. If they give you a direct order and you disobey the direct order, you get punished. They can throw you back in the hole. And I'd already spent way too much time in solitary confinement. I didn't really want to go back there. But so I said, okay, fine. I won't tell people that I'm going to be released and then I'm going to get to go home. And that was okay. But I sure as heck did tell people that I got a direct order to tell people that I got a direct order to tell people to not tell people that I'm going home. So I told everybody about the direct order. And that song, there's all the way through that, back to the Peter Gabriel song. And I had a really close relationship with my dad. And that song refers to a relationship. And finally, when they said it was the day, and even that night, the night before, February 12th, they were like, I'm leaving tomorrow. And they're like, no, you're not. And then at about 9:00 in the morning, over the loudspeaker, there, Owen, report to visiting, which is meant that's the intake, outtake. Owen, report to visiting. And I'll tell you what, I think I flew. I left my things and walked out that door. And that song talks about, you can keep my things, they've come to take me home. And it's still that, it was just a beautiful thing. Beautiful.
And I think your dad said something to the effect, I've come to take you home.
Yeah. Yep. It was a good day. It really was. It was beautiful. So that's one of the reasons why that song is just special to me.
It's a great song.
And these are happy tears, so don't think you're making me sad. I just, that, it, when you're told for so long and by so many people, and people just don't understand what it's like to be locked in a room. And it's kind of cool when, you believe in something and you just know that it's right. And when it happens, that song to me I would encourage people to listen and then think of walking out of that horrid place. It was beautiful.
That's